Hi, and welcome to Sustainable Scottsdale, the City of Scottsdale's Green Building Lecture Series preview. My name is Doug Edwards. I'm your host today. Usually I have my brother and co-host Kevin with me, but anyway, I'm going to do it solo. Today we're going to talk about interior and indoor environmental quality. We've done this show several times in the past. We never, ever had an interior designer on, but today I thought that would be a nice change up. We should talk about the interior design. And so I asked Tanya Shively with Seshu Interior Design to join us. She is one of the experts here in our community who knows and really does believe in the eco-friendly interior design possibilities. And thank you, Tanya, for joining us today, and welcome.
Thank you, Doug. I appreciate you having me on.
Well, it's my pleasure. I was wondering maybe what we should do is talk about how does somebody hire an interior designer, or why, or perhaps even most people can't afford an interior designer. At least that's the premise, or that's the way people think about it. Is that true?
No, not necessarily. An interior designer is really key in helping you to maximize your dollar, actually. And if you can be upfront and honest with them about the amount of money that you want to spend on your project, a good interior designer will actually help you stay within that budget, and also make sure that you don't make some expensive mistakes that maybe you have to redo or live with and hate.
Right. Well, it seems to me that if you're just to go out as a homeowner to buy furniture for your house, for instance, and you went to a retail store, you're going to pay retail.
Right.
So right off the bat, you're paying a huge markup. Whereas if they hire an interior designer, they would be paying less because you utilize the wholesales. The wholesale companies where the public is really not allowed to go, or isn't welcome, and so you charge a certain percentage over the wholesale cost, which comes out about the same as a retail, which pays you. They get a much better design because they have a professional, and if they want to be eco-friendly, they definitely come to you.
Right, yeah. Eco-friendly is a challenge, especially in the interior department right now. So having someone on board who is familiar with the resources that are out there and what your options are will definitely help if that's one of your goals. Oh,
absolutely. Well, I've dealt with a lot of interior designers, and most of them aspire to be eco-friendly, but they don't take the initiative to really do the study, to really get in there and find out what the options are to make a home eco-friendly, green, and healthy. So tell us about what can we do if we hire you, give you a call. What is it that you will do for us in an eco-friendly way?
Well, like you said, I did put forth the effort and studied and passed the LEED exam, and I'm constantly out there learning and researching resources and finding out what's available now, which it's a constantly changing field. There's new things coming up all the time, which is fantastic, but it's hard to keep up with. So what I do with my clients is I find out what their priorities are. There's a number of factors that are involved in being green. Energy efficiency, water conservation, your interior environment, which includes your air quality and the health benefits. And so I'll talk with them and find out what's most important to them, and then we'll make our list, and we will just go out there and I will do the research and find the materials and the resources and the products that fulfill those priorities and requirements for them, and present those options to them. And I work with my clients on a collaborative basis.
Great.
So it's never all me, it's never all my decision. I'm working with the client hand in hand to help them narrow down the choices so that they can make the choice that's best for them. And then we move forward from there. And I work with them throughout the whole construction process typically, and making sure that everything is happening the way that they want it to go.
Well, I know there's a lot of choices out there, and most of which are not green.
Right.
So you're kind of limited to what you can bring.
Yeah.
Do you have a difficulty with that at all? Are there new products, or are there certain lines that you recommend, or materials? I mean, just even the basic materials like cotton or wool or something that's natural.
Yeah, that's kind of the key word right now with green interiors, is look for things that are natural. And it's true the choices are pretty limited right now, but it's getting better all the time, which is fantastic. But there's a lot of materials out there that have maybe been used for centuries, for decades, for a long time. People didn't really realize that they were green. And now that that is a big concern and the message is getting out, those are starting to come back into vogue. Things like linoleum, things like cork on floors. So those are actually some green options. They're unique, they're interesting, and they're actually pretty available. The furniture really and the fabrics is the tricky part right now.
Right. Why is that?
Well, to get a great looking, stylish, great feeling, lots of color, unique fabric that's green, that's just limited right now. The fabric industry is actually probably one of the worst, but there are some organic cottons and things, and using the natural products like wool is naturally flame resistant, it's naturally stain resistant, so you don't have to add a lot of chemicals onto it, so that helps. And wool is a renewable resource, so that's a great option.
And then how about like colors and textures? So I mean, you could take wool and get different textures out of it depending on the weave. And
yeah, exactly. Wool is probably one of the favorite, and it works great on draperies. It has a lot of different possibilities with it, and it can be mixed with other things to change their characteristics. So that's probably a fiber that we use most frequently.
And also for carpeting and almost in every aspect of the interior design as far as the fabrics are concerned.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the colors. How do you? Is there like a zero VOC colors that they use, dyes that they use in the fabrics, or how does that work? Or no? Perhaps you need to stick to more neutral colors. I don't know.
More neutral colors, yeah. Wools often will come in natural, undyed colors, especially in things like carpets, and they have their own unique characteristics. When you start adding dyes, that's when you start getting into problems. Sometimes you can find things that have natural vegetable dyes, especially more in rugs and things like that.
Right. So more of a, kind of a Native American approach to coloring.
Exactly. It's just going back to the basics. You know, the Persian and Asian Oriental rugs, a lot of those we can get with the natural vegetable dyes too. The colors aren't as vivid, but they're still beautiful and they have their own uniqueness.
Is there a company here locally that manufactures, or do you? I know High Point in was it South Carolina is like the mecca for furniture and what have you, but. Is there a manufacturer here local? Because it's nice to, another aspect of it is the transportation costs and the carbon footprint of the product.
Yeah, absolutely. There isn't a company locally in Phoenix, but there is a fantastic rug company that we like to use that is based in Michigan. So it is at least made in the U.S. It's not coming from overseas. It's not being shipped as far, and they are totally green. They are Green Label Plus certified wool, the natural latex and cotton backing and all of that, and they do some really fantastic things.
Are there any manufacturers at High Point that are going really green?
A lot of people are trying to be more green.
So they're putting their toe in the water.
Exactly, yeah.
Has anybody immersed themselves completely?
There's not too many, and actually we use a lot of manufacturers from California here because it's closer. So there's some companies there. There's a great fabric company called Eco Textiles, and they use a lot of the organic cottons and linens and things. Their fabrics are more typically prints and lighter weight fabrics. But I believe they're out of Oregon.
Oh, okay.
So.
Then how about, we talked about the fabrics, how about like the flooring? You mentioned cork, linoleum, and then there's hardwoods.
Yeah.
And then, domestic hardwoods, of course, and, then there's the other kind of hardwoods that you can import from, like Honduras, mahogany, and that type of thing, which is incredibly horrible to the environment. The rainforests are being depleted. And
Yeah.
can you tell us a little bit about the products in that regard?
Yeah, absolutely. Those exotic hardwoods are the ones that you want to stay away from and try to not use. There are a lot of beautiful options that are FSC certified, and so those are sustainably
FSC
forested.
means
Forestry
Stewardship Council. Right?
Yeah,
Sorry.
exactly.
I just wanted to, I probably shouldn't have put you on the spot on that. I know those acronyms are sometimes pretty difficult, especially if you're just hit spontaneously.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's, I mean, even in building and on our side, on the architectural and building side of things, we like to use the FSC woods. They cost a little bit more, but they give you a really good feeling that you've done made the right purchase.
Exactly.
Otherwise, well, and then a lot of the large manufacturers, even in the lumber industry, are starting to adapt, or not even. They've been doing it for some time and certifying their forests, even if it's not FSC. They've got their own certifications, and they're being much more conscientious. Is it the same in the interior design?
It is, yeah. There's actually a Sustainable Furnishings Council that's working on that. So there's more and more furnishings that are coming on board and using the sustainable woods and avoiding the formaldehyde in the glues and all of those kinds of things.
Which is a real problem. I know that the toxicity of the formaldehyde coming out of the press board, right?
Yeah.
Which is basically the box of the cabinetry.
Exactly.
What do you guys do for that? I mean, does it get real expensive?
It does probably add a little bit of cost, but there are some options out there that don't have formaldehyde in them. Mm-hmm. And so just working with your cabinetry people to make sure that those are specified. There's some things like wheat board and I don't know, a number of options that are available.
Right. I know back in the old days when, if you were building a home without a huge budget and you were kind of limited to your cabinet selection, a lot of times you would order up cabinets which were typical with the formaldehyde boxes, but what we would do is seal them. Mm-hmm. You get a really good sealer, paint the whole, everything, so that it doesn't outgas, and that really cuts down on the toxic.
Right. Yeah, another thing you can do too, because sometimes it's in furnishings and sometimes it'll be on fabrics and things. If you know that you've got that problem and if you have the time and the ability, another thing you can do is store it uncovered so that it has the opportunity to off-gas somewhere besides inside your home.
So don't wait till the last minute to order them. Get them ordered and let them hang out for a while in the garage or somewhere if you're remodeling.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, that's great. You have a blog, you have a website. You're very active. You do a lot of marketing, and and of course, I've brought you in on projects, and I know that your work is exemplary, really.
Thank you.
On your blog, you've got 12 questions to ask an interior designer. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering if we could go over some of those.
Sure.
The first question is, how will it perform? I imagine the eco-friendly materials or whatever it is, whether it's the design. How will it perform its basic function as a product?
Mm-hmm. That's really addressing durability issues and functionality issues. So for instance, cork might not be a great choice to use in the bathroom, especially the kids' bathroom, where there might be a lot of water splashing and puddles left on the floor.
Mm-hmm. And toothpaste.
And toothpaste and things like that. So, linoleum's probably a better choice in the kids' bathroom.
Right.
So things like that, you want to be sure that materials are being used in their proper place. There's a place and a time to use everything. Just make sure that you're using it in the right place and not just everywhere, assuming that this is a green material, so it'll work anywhere I want to use it.
Right, well, which can be a blanketed thought for most people, right?
Exactly, yeah.
When you're putting down linoleum or the cork or even the wood flooring, do you use glues?
It depends on the installation method. Sometimes it is a glue down method, and then formaldehyde is a big problem in adhesives. So that's where you want to be sure that your installer is using a formaldehyde-free adhesive, and they are available out there.
Right.
You might find an installer who will tell you that there isn't, but there is. So keep looking, push them.
Push them, or find somebody else if they don't come off their thoughts.
Exactly.
I know that there's also kind of the design of some of the flooring, especially the wood floors. They interlock so well that you really don't need to glue them down.
Exactly. Sometimes they just float. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
floating
very true.
floors. That's pretty cool. And plus, that's really nice on your feet.
It is, and the only thing you want to be a little bit concerned about there is sometimes it can get that hollow sound, but there are underlayments and pads that you put underneath that flooring that stops that.
Okay, right, excellent. Yeah, I was going to ask. I mean, if a floor floats and your subfloor has some it's a slab.
Right.
It's not absolutely perfect. There's going to be some little hollow points. Another thing, not to get away from your 12 questions, I'll keep going back to them. But how about paints products?
Paints is where we've actually made a lot of progress.
Right. Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah. So that's the easiest thing to do, and people are, that's one of the first things they think about doing when they're remodeling or refreshing their house is change the paint color.
Right.
And pretty much all of the major manufacturers have low or zero VOC paints out there now.
Right.
So they don't have those volatile organic compounds, which the worst of those, again, is formaldehyde. That's the culprit in most of them.
Right.
But I really like the Benjamin Moore paint. There's hardly any odor at all, which is another